humility. Humility. To be humble means you as a Muslim, you should try to be the best. But you as a Muslim, you should listen to better than you. And better than you could come from other religions, because Islam is great, but you are not the greatest. So you could find greater Christian than you are a good Muslim. So listen, take from the others, be inclusive.
You know, to be involved in the World Parliament of Religions, it's quite important. I've been involved in it for the last 10 years, in fact. This is the 3rd edition that I'm attending, and I think that it's really important for us to be involved with people coming from different traditions, different religions, different spiritualities, and trying to be faithful to their own communities by having a critical discussion from within, but also with other traditions and religions through interfaith dialogue and understanding what are our responsibilities towards the world today.
How do you talk about the other, the non-Muslims? Tell me what you say about the non-Muslims, I will know which kind of education you provide your kids with. It's a very good parameter. It's us versus them, or us with universal values. Are we witnesses to give, or are we on the defensive to protect? It's completely different. Two different education. If you are obsessed with protection, you start with the rules, and them are a danger for us.
We have a problem when it comes to Islamic education. Very often we confuse Islamic education with education for Muslims. Islamic education is much more about universal principles. It's the way you are dealing with your own self. It's the spiritual dimension. It's about love. It's about responsibility, accountability. It's also about the way you deal with others. So are you talking about us versus them in the way us Muslims versus them, or are we talking about universal principles that are shared principles, that the very will of God was for us to be living and experiencing diversity. So it's His will. So we have to go beyond, tolerating the other by respecting them, knowing them, and being proactive with them.
In many of our Islamic schools in the West, it's a demanding process, always to keep on talking about the meanings and not to be obsessed with the rules, which is very difficult. Because when you are in the defensive in a specific environment, and you think that your kids are in danger outside, the very first attitude is to go to the rules to protect yourself from the surrounding environment. While the best protection is when you know the meanings, not when you respect the rules.
We have to come back to the essential. So very often when we come to talk about Islam as a Muslim, but also about religions, it's as if religions are problematic. So we try to defend ourselves and the principles. At the end of the day, the really meaning of religion is to talk about spirituality, is something which has to do with a liberating process from the ego, from selfishness, to be able to look at the world and to serve the people, because the more you serve the people, the more you serve God. This is the very meaning of spirituality. And having understood this, I think that the second step is really about how do we deal with the others around us. Are we, because we are in quest for truth, it doesn't mean that truth is ours. We have to take from others. And I really think that to listen, it's important to be able to take from the others, and all this is based on something which is very important. The starting point of the spiritual journey is not arrogance, it's humility. Arrogance is the opposite of spirituality, and humility is, I am not perfect, I don't get it all, I'm just trying to learn so I can learn from everyone, Muslim or non-Muslim, Christian or non-Christian, Jew or not, Buddhist or not, that is just trying his or her best to improve and transform the self.
This dimension that we need in school, that we need in our mosque, that we need in our family, is really to reconnect faith and love and this attitude, which has to do with psychology, which has to do with empathy, which has to do with compassion, which has to do with forgiveness.
What is doing much more than even educating people through words is examples, is to be role models, is really to experience it. So this is what I'm saying to all the Muslims around the world, but I'm expecting it from Christians, from Jews. Be witnesses. Just be witnesses to your message before human beings, but just trying to be consistent. It's very difficult, it's demanding, but the more you act as you preach, or you try to translate into your daily life behavior your values, the more you are going to be effective by spreading around the right message.